You might be surprised to learn that women spend almost a third of their lives in what we call the change of life. Still, there's far too much misinformation about menopause. Tracy Smith tries to clear things up. It's a complicated time of life when questions seem to outnumber answers. From Tracy Smith this morning, Menopause Explained.
On any given night in Las Vegas, the crowds show up for what's become one of the hottest shows in town.
My God, hot!
Yeah,
Having a hot night!
that kind of hot.
A tropical hot night!
This is Menopause, the musical, about the challenges of the change, from hot flashes to weight gain.
Nothing I can do 'cause it sticks like glue to my thigh.
It's 90 minutes of singing on a topic people used to just whisper about, and it's been around for more than 2 decades, say producers Kathy and Alan Glist.
So I'm trying to picture what it must have been like to put on Menopause the musical 20-something years ago. Did people even say the word menopause out loud?
Not out loud. It was called the silent passage because there was such a stigma, almost shame attached to it at that time.
Change, 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 change life.
Things like hot flashes and mood swings usually start in what's called perimenopause, the months or years leading up to menopause itself. And if you didn't know that, you're not alone.
So is there an upside to menopause?
There is a huge upside to menopause.
Dr. Sharon Malone is an OBGYN and an author who's trying to take the mystery out of menopause with a new book aimed at grown women.
Do you think most women know what to expect when it comes to menopause?
They do not. Most women have no idea when this whole perimenopause or menopausal transition starts.
Yeah, how long does this last?
That's the $64,000 question. People are, well, how long is it? Every woman is different, but the average is in the range of years, not months.
Now you can get back to feeling like yourself again. There are new treatments for menopause symptoms out there. Just turn on your TV. This is a hot flash. But the most common is hormone replacement therapy, or HRT. It's basically a cocktail of different types of estrogen to put back what the body isn't making enough of. Starting in the 1940s, that estrogen mixture came in pill form, sold under the clinical-sounding name Premarin. And you're not going to believe where it comes from.
So the name Premarin is?
Pregnant mare's urine, Premarin. And most people don't realize that, but it's an inexhaustible supply of these estrogens. And horses, you can imagine, put out a lot of urine, and as long as you keep the mares pregnant, you have an almost inexhaustible supply.
And until 2002, it seemed there was an inexhaustible supply of menopausal women lining up for hormone replacement therapy.
Estrogen is not the only answer, but it is the most effective answer. For women who are symptomatic, and by that I mean women who have, hot flashes, night sweats, sleeplessness, mood swings, and the list goes on, nothing treats those symptoms better than estrogen therapy. And that's period, end of sentence.
When I started having hot flashes and night sweats at menopause, my doctor recommended hormone replacement therapy.
By the early 2000s, an estimated 6 million menopausal women were taking hormones, but then HRT got a black eye. Through the 90s, a big government study called the Women's Health Initiative was investigating a link between estrogen and a decrease in heart disease.
It was just to see if estrogen prevented heart disease.
Exactly. That was the primary hypothesis in that study.
But the study's directors found something else, and on July 9th, 2002, they dropped a bomb.
They did not find the expected benefit in the decrease in the risk of cardiovascular disease, which was troubling in and of itself. But more importantly, there was a 26% increase in the risk of breast cancer. And when they reported out the increased risk in breast cancer, it was almost game, set, and match for the hormone therapy market. Women are more afraid of breast cancer than they are of cardiovascular disease, despite the fact that more women die of cardiovascular disease than breast cancer at any age.
But the headlines didn't tell the whole story. A closer look at that study showed that for most women, the risk of breast cancer from hormone therapy is actually very low, and that for younger women, it does lower the risk of cardiovascular disease. Still, it seems most women only heard the bad news and started throwing their hormone pills down the drain.
Women just tossed it. They're like, I'm not taking this. I don't care how I feel. I'm not going to do this because you are increasing my risk of breast cancer.
What's more, the news also had a chilling effect on women's health issues in general, says Jennifer Weiss-Wolf from the Brennan Center for Justice at NYU Law School.
Menopause became absolutely deprioritized. Doctors stopped learning about it, medical schools stopped teaching about it, and the government stopped funding federal research for it. So we found ourselves in an information vacuum that persisted all the way up until this new chapter where people have started demanding change.
Things are changing. There are several bills addressing menopause education and treatment working their way through Congress.
To establish the first ever White House initiative on women's health research.
And just last month, President Biden signed an executive order authorizing millions for things like menopause research.
Hi, welcome, guys.
And at the grassroots level, women are making change by talking about the change.
I'm in the vagina business now.
Welcome to Menopause Mondays. This gathering is in San Diego, but it could be anywhere. A little wine, a few laughs, and a whole lot of information about menopause.
Menopause is very exciting because it's that one day, and that is when your ovaries have retired. Okay? They're pooped. They're done.
The cheerful MC is Ellen Dolgen, who started holding these seminars 20 years ago after a bad experience with her own menopause.
My goal is to educate women. You know, my motto is suffering in silence is out and reaching out is in. And I don't want anyone to go through what I went through because I was completely uneducated. And it shouldn't be. It's not necessary.
And there is an information gap. Some of the women we talked to were actually dealing with perimenopause. They just didn't know it.
Turns out after this workshop, I realized that I do have symptoms. I've just been kind of brushing it off as life, you know, like I can't sleep. Well, it's just because I'm busy and brain fog. I'm just juggling a lot of things.
Is anybody having a hot flash here?
Dolgen has hosted these parties in more cities than she can count, and she says there's no end in sight. To her, menopause is having a moment.
I think it's kind of chic right now. Like
Menopause is chic?
Yeah, like I'm wearing my menopause right now, and I think I'm pretty damn chic.
And so, the big news flash here might be, ignorance about menopause is out, suffering is out, treatment is in. Dr. Sharon Malone.
I want women to understand that, you know, menopause is inevitable. If you have ovaries, you will go through menopause, whether you have symptoms or not. The message is that menopause is inevitable, suffering is not.
Do you think women still have this idea that we are supposed to suffer?
We have sort of incorporated the language of suffering into the entirety of women's existence. You know, we have to get used to the fact that it's okay to want to feel better. It's okay. Why do we as women not have the ability to make decisions for ourselves without feeling guilty? Put yourself first, to say that my quality of life is important. What's wrong with that?